Part 1. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 Outstanding but Little Beauty. Where is an idiot girl? Yellow Sand Ravine, a beautiful woman wearing a silver-white shape-shift great art suit, is making a wind blade and playing with the rock-tailed wall lizard. This beautiful woman is very charming, waist thin, buttocks is also Weisuo 11 intercourse type, upturned to death, but now distance this outstanding but little beauty and rock-tailed wall less than 50 feet of a soil pit, covered with a thick layer of yellow sand, only ahead of a pile of grass on the outside of the Weisuo, but the mouth is almost crooked. Rock-tailed wall lizard, level 2 mid-level monster beast. 2 pieces of shiny metal-like flakes on the back, worth 3 pieces of spiritual stones, black shiny belly leather, delicate and tough, is the perfect material for enamel close-fitting inner armor, worth 2 pieces of spiritual stones, a piece of cloth full of dense scales, you can split the mysterious tail of the black iron, worth a product of spiritual stones. A total of 6 products are sold under the spiritual stones. Rock-tailed wall lizard is usually a male and female at both ends of the activity. The nest is built in the cave of the cliff, flying on the cliff. If not killed, it fled into the cliff on the cave. It cannot find out. Weisuo here for a full squat for 2 days, finally wait until this one rock-tailed wall lizard dropped a single, and away from the cliff. See the 6 low-grade spiritual stones is already in the pocket glittering, but did not think Weisuo is ready to start. Incredibly don't know where to run from such a beautiful silver shirt, incredibly excited to call a surging sound haha, good luck, a level 2 monster beast after, even ambush in the back of the pit in the Weisuo did not find, incredibly excited toward the head of a single rock-tailed wall lizard to move up the hand. The cultivation base of this beautiful woman appears to have reached the Divine Sea Realm 4th layer, which is Weisuo 2nd. The silver-white layer great art clothing is obviously silver silk refining, embroidered with a stripe of the pattern. The price is not expensive, now issued by the wind blades is also a bright, but also with a trace of ice-cold breath, playing in the rock-tailed wall lizard of the body snapped, beat rock-tailed wall lizard a shock, the back of a piece of ice pops up. It looks like a masterful style, great treasure has the upper hand, but in Weisuo's view, the appearance of this beauty is simply inversely proportional to IQ. It is estimated that if you take a pass outside the Huangsha Canyon at this time, you will know that the most vulnerable part of rock-tailed wall lizard is in the neck, but the wind blades of this beautiful woman are actually on the back of rock-tailed wall lizard. Thick armor slammed. If these 2 thick armor can make him break so easily, then it is worth 3 pieces of spiritual stones. And the general cultivator, even if you think about it with your butt, you will know that you can play back and try to pull away from this rock-tailed wall lizard, but this silver blouse is actually standing in the same place, just brushing the wind blades. The most Weisuo is speechless. Every time a wind blade, this beautiful woman still has to scream a surging sound, ice wind blades. Do you think you are acting? Obviously, this beauty should be a child of a family who has not suffered any bitterness. With the cultivation base of Divine Sea Realm 4th layer, it is easy to get a level 2 monster beast. Even if a pig is lying on the ground, if you just put a knife on the pig's trotters, insert it for a long time and insert it into your exhaustion, you can't kill You really have your own true chi is inexhaustible, the same as the great treasure sea? Sure enough, exactly the same as Weisuo imagined. Just for a while, the beauty of the face was really a bit white, and even found 2 bottles of chi recovery powder. But drinking a second bottle of chi recovery medicine, the beauty casts the wind blade slower, and the rock-tailed wall lizard is very close to her, so the beaten rock-tailed wall lizard has been swept away, though the difference was not a little sweeping, but the beauty was obviously shocked, and his face was white but white. Good chance. At this time, rock-tailed wall lizard is just facing the ambush of Weisuo, only seeing a surging sound of peng, Weisuo in a sleek yellow sand. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 2. Where is an idiot? In the yellow sand canyon, a beautiful woman wearing a silver and white vest is sending out wind blades, playing with a stone-tailed wall lizard. This beautiful woman is very charming, her waist is thin, her is also the type that Weisuo likes, and it is dying, but now it is in a pit less than 50 feet from the little buttocks and the stone-tail wall lizard. Covered with a thick layer of yellow sand, there was only one head with a pile of weeds exposed on the outside, but Weisuo was so angry that his mouth was almost crooked. Stone-tailed wall lizard, second-level mid-level monster. On the back, there are 2 pieces of metal nails that shine like metal. They are worth 3 inferior spirit stones, black shiny belly leather, delicate and tough. They are excellent materials for tanned close-fitting inner armor. They are worth 2 inferior spirit stones and a cloth. Full of fine scales, it can split the lizard tail of the black iron and is worth an inferior spirit stone. There are 6 inferior spirit stones in total. The stone-tailed wall lizard is generally a male and a female with 2 heads moving together. The nest is built in the cave of the cliff, walking on the cliff and flying. If it fails to be killed, it escapes into the cave on the cliff. It is impossible to find it anymore. Weisuo stayed here for 2 days, and finally waited for the stone-tail wall lizard to drop the order, and away from the cliff, seeing that the 6 inferior spirit stones were about to shine in his pocket. But I didn't expect that when Weisuo was about to start, he didn't know where he came from. There was such a beautiful woman in silver shirt. He was very excited and called out, "Haha, good luck, a second-level monster." Even Weisuo, who was lurking in the back pit, didn't find it, and he moved towards the stone-tailed lizard with a single head, excited. The beauty of this beauty looks like it has reached the 4 levels of Shanghai realm, which is 2 times taller than Weisuo. The silver-white coat on her body is obviously made of silver silk, embroidered with stripes, and the price very expensive. The wind blades that are now issued are also swaying brightly, and with a hint of ice and cold breath, hit the body of the stone-tail wall lizard, crackling, the stone-tail wall lizard shocked, and a piece of pop on the carapace, pieces of ice chips. It looks very mastery and has the upper hand, but in Weisuo's view, the appearance of this beauty is almost inversely proportional to IQ. It is estimated that if this time, a person passing by outside the yellow sand canyon will know that the most vulnerable part of the stone-tail wall lizard is in the neck, but the wind blade issued by this beauty is actually towards the thick armor on the back of the stone-tail wall lizard. Bang! If these 2 thick armor can make him break so easily, it is worth 3 inferior spirit stones. And even if the monks think about it with their buttocks, they will know to fight back, try to distance themselves from this stone-tailed wall lizard, but the silver-shirt beauty actually stood on the spot and moved, only brushing the wind blade. What makes Weisuo most speechless is that for every blow of the wind blade, the beauty also shouts, "Ice wind blade." I depend, do you think you are acting? Obviously, this beauty should be a child of a family who hasn't had any hardships. With the 4-fold cultivation behavior of Shanghai realm, she realizes that a monster of the 2nd class is easy to handle. But even if a pig is lying on the ground, if you put a knife on the pig's trotters desperately, after a long time, you will be exhausted, and you won't die. You really think that your true energy is inexhaustible, just like the infinite amount of the sea? Sure enough, it was exactly the same as Weisuo's imagination, but after a while, the beauty's face was really a little white, and he even found out 2 bottles of breath and instilled it. Snapped. But after drinking the 2nd bottle of chi-chi, the beauty cast the wind blade slower, and the stone-tail wall lizard was really close to her, so the stone-tail wall lizard that had been beaten swept the tail very politely, although it's almost missed, but the beauty was obviously startled, her face white. Good chance. At this time, the stone-tailed wall lizard was facing the place where Weisuo was ambushed. We heard a sound from Peng. Weisuo jumped up among the flying yellow sand. A gang of wind blasted the sand beside the stone-tailed wall lizard. On the ground, the stone-tailed wall lizard was overturned at once. At the same time, a blue water blade emerged from Weisuo's hand, slashing towards the neck of the stone-tailed lizard. Boom! But what Wei Suo did not expect was that the blue water blade was about to hit the stone-tailed wall lizard. A dustpan-sized fire suddenly hit the stone-tailed wall lizard and exploded the stone-tailed wall lizard. Wei Suo was so scared that he rolled in place without being burned by the flames coming from the front. Fireball talisman. What are you doing? Wei Suo couldn't help but jump from the ground and couldn't help but want to cry. Originally, this stone-tailed lizard was half disabled even if it didn't die, and there was no threat. But this idiot who didn't know where she came from actually sent a fireball symbol at this time. This stone-tail wall lizard can already be dealt with already. Is it possible to use such a magic spell with such power? The light of Wei Suo's eyes swept away. Although the body of the heavy-tailed stone-tailed lizard was mostly burned to a scorched black, but because it did not hit the point, it seemed to have been injured and not directly killed. And the point is that the momentum of the fireball symbol is so amazing that it is likely to lead another stone-tailed lizard back. Who are you? Just sneaking away and doing something, go away, don't hinder me. But the beauty of the silver shirt but Lu Mei raised her head, cursing wildly. Fireball talisman, ice talisman, blast talisman. Before Wei Suo could say anything, she saw 3 more charms in the silver shirt. This silver shirt beauty is indeed a broad guy, just the value of the 2 bottles of Kikai and these spells has exceeded the value of 4 inferior spirit stones, and now he has these 3 spells in his hand. Even if it is another a stone-tailed wall lizard came back and should be able to deal with it easily. Puff. Boom. But the scene that made Wei Suo dumbfounded appeared. The silver shirt beauty, actually, directly smashed the ice rune and the fireball rune on the severely wounded stone-tail wall scorpion. The stone-tailed wall lizard was first transformed into an ice tuft by a mass of white frozen air, and then it was grilled by a dustpan-sized terrorist fire group, and it was hung up without accident. But almost at the same time, another stone-tailed wall lizard also appeared, rushing towards the 2 in a mad smoke. There is still one. The silver shirt beauty shot the blast wind directly on her body, wrapped in a gang of wind, and jumped around quickly, and the stone-tailed wall lizard who was coming around continued to blast the wind blade. The silver shirt beauty's ice wind blade looks powerful, but it still can't pose any threat to the stone-tail wall lizard, and the stone-tail wall lizard also finds that the silver shirt beauty can't be reached, turning around and heading towards Wei Suo. The stone-tailed wall lizard is also escaping from the wind blade of the silver shirt beauty, so Wei Suo has no way to overturn it and hit its key. And now the shy Wei lizard, who doesn't know whether it is his wife or husband, who was killed by the silver shirt beauty with the inhumane 3 ways of law, is obviously crazy to pursue Wei Suo. You coward, why don't you stop and fight? What, run? The shy Weiabai scorpion quickly ran behind Wei Suo, and what made Wei Suo cry, the beauty of the silver shirt actually screamed at him with contempt. Oh shit! Feeling that he couldn't run away, Wei Suo took an ugly jade rune out of his arms with an ugly face, and after a real UN was injected into it, a yellow airflow with a thick earthy air flowed on the jade rune. It kept pouring out, and soon turned into a small yellow shield with the size of 2 feet in front of Wei Suo. Pap. Pap. The stone-tailed wall lizard attacked Wei Suo continuously, but was all blocked by this little yellow shield. Laugh. The neck of the stone-tailed lizard, which had always been violent, suddenly showed a light and twitched. Ha! The silver shirt beauty struck up again with several wind blades, and the stone-tail wall lizard finally shook twice on the ground and stopped moving. What's this called? Wei Suo shook his head silently. When the stone-tailed wall lizard attacked him, the silver shirt beauty was a blind cat who met a dead mouse. The wind blade just cut the stone-tailed wall lizard neck. You haven't answered my question yet. Who are you? What are you doing sneaky hiding there? Did you want to my 2 stone-tailed wall lizards? The silver shirt beauty looked at the 2 stone-tailed wall lizards proudly, his eyes turned to Wei Suo again. What do I rob you of the 2 stone-tailed wall lizards? I have been ambushed here for 2 days. If it were not for you to mess around, how could I use this earth shield treasure? There are few, and there are already a crack of yellow jade symbols, and Wei Suo can't help it. This earth shield treasure is worth at least 6 inferior spirit stones. It is a treasure that Wei Suo finally found. It can be used a total of 3 times. The earth element shield produced by each time can be used by even the 5 monks of the Shanghai realm. It can withstand it? Wei Suo has used it once. After originally ambushing a stone-tailed wall lizard, the other stone-tailed wall lizard is also likely to be ambushed to kill without losing anything, but I don't know where to run from. The idiot beauty who came here was forced to use it again this time, at least equivalent to the loss of 2 inferior spirit stones. It's really a prodigal son. If I have so many first-order fireball and ice signs, I can go to ambush a third-order monster, and actually use 3 spells to kill a stone-tailed wall lizard. As soon as I thought that this beautiful woman used 4 spells that she couldn't usually buy, Wei Suo felt even more painful. Just because you still want to kill the 2 stone-tailed wall lizards? Look at your stupidity, these 2 stone-tailed wall lizards were all killed by me, of course, all of them. The silver shirt beauty looked at Wei Suo, a pair of extremely despised look. I am stupid? Are you here to kill the stone-tailed wall lizard or to smash the spirit stone to play? That stone-tailed wall lizard was blown into that way by you, and it is worth up to 2 inferior crystals. The magic symbols are worth 4 inferior spirit stones. Even the most vulnerable part of the stone-tailed wall lizard is that the neck is not known, and it comes to kill the stone-tailed wall lizard. Like your wind blade, you can't break the stone-tailed wall lizard with 100 passes. Carapace, I am stupid. Wei Suo looked at the silver shirt beauty, only to sneer. You, the silver shirt girl's face was pale and said arrogantly. Anyway, these 2 stone-tailed wall lizards were killed by me. I won't give you one. If you want to grab it, try it. Sorry, can you avoid it a little bit? Wei Suo said suddenly. The silver shirt beauty was a little stunned. Avoid it? It seems that I ate my stomach and squatted in that pit for so long, I couldn't hold it anymore, Wei Suo said as he began to untie his pants. You, the silver shirt beauty turned around in a panic. After a while, she seemed to feel wrong. When she turned around, she only saw Wei Suo carrying 2 stone-tailed wall lizards, which were running away soon. You shameless man, the wind blaster of the silver shirt beauty has just been used, and she can't catch up with her face pale with anger. Haha, Wei Suo, who continued to run through the smoke, laughed and threw a kiss at the silver shirt beauty. Beauty, let's meet and drink tea together later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 3. My 13 Inferior Spirit Stones. In the middle of the night, in a small stone house in the west of Lingyu City, there was a wailing noise. In this humble stone house, there is no decent decoration at all. Instead, there are several portraits of beautiful women in palace costumes hanging on the wall beside the bed. The portraits are all drawn by the same girl, with a tall chest and a beautiful face. The main skin is like snow, like a gel. The portraits of these beautiful women are extremely clever, and the beautiful girls are vividly painted, and their eyes are flowing, as if they are going to come down from the paper, and they will radiate a faint brilliance. It looks very valuable, but only a few portraits are beautiful. The location of the girl's chest is slightly grayish, and looks as if it is stained. Inside the stone house, like a dead old lady, she kept yelling and yelling. She was dressed in coarse clothes and looked like a pretty long guy. It was Wei Suo who had hit 2 stone-tailed wall lizards in Huangsha Canyon of Huanglong Mountain not long ago. The reason for this wailing is that Wei Suo today showed the ordinary white mink pups with black stripes on his body at the free market in the east of the city. When the black winged mink pups sold, they saw how old a dress was. Old man, it looks like a more honest guy, selling a black jade jar. This black jade jar shines through the whole body, and there is another mystery in the dark light. There are many ant-like ancient mysterious charms that look like a magic weapon. After some bargaining, Weizhuo bought this jade jar with 13 inferior spirits. On the way back, Weizhuo was excited to die, because even the lowest level spirit level magic weapon, the value is definitely far more than that. 13 inferior spirit stones. But Weizhuo was reined on the way back, and when he reached home, he pulled it out of his arms and saw that the black jade jar had become a grey porcelain jar. The layer on the surface of the jar was actually gone, as if it were just a layer of gum. Even if it is fake, at least a real jade jar is used. If you get a porcelain jar to wipe something, even the rain can drip out. Is this too bullying? Fortunately, he used the black impatience flower juice that can't be washed away by drawing black stripes on the ordinary white mink. The most unacceptable thing for Weizhuo is that there are 2 cracks in the inside of this porcelain jar, and the outer one layer becomes one, and these 2 cracks are exposed. The unintelligible runes on the porcelain jar are not fake, but even if this thing is really a magic weapon, with 2 cracks, it should be useless. Anyway, Weizhuo had already tried it, infused with true gas, flooded, burned. I tried every method, just sent my little brother out to pee towards it, but this broken thing didn't respond at all. Weizhuo is not the prodigal beauty in the Huangsha Canyon. Like his low-level loose repair, 13 inferior spirit stones are a lot of money. Like the 2 stone-tailed wall lizards that were struggling to fight, because one of them was beaten and there were not many places intact, the 2 inferior spirits were sold together. People in this year are as fine as ghosts, and the spirit stone is not easy to earn, and after earning it, you have to use it yourself. Although Weizhuo now has only 2 levels of spiritual practice, if you let go of the spiritual aura, you need at least 6 or 7 inferior spirits a day to be enough, but now Weizhuo can only use it at most. Dare to use 1 or 2 inferior spirit stones, and cultivation has been in a state of hunger and thirst for a long time, but even so, usually only a dozen inferior spirit stones remain in 2 or 3 months. These dozens of inferior spirit stones can't be used for cultivation yet, and they have to save some capital for doing some trading to prepare for some unexpected needs. However, this time Weizhuo was directly cheated out of 13 inferior spirit stones. This is why Weizhuo is not hurt. My 13 inferior spirit stones. The more Wei thought, the more he wanted to cry without tears, and he smashed the broken pot with 13 inferior spirit stones to the ground. After smashing the broken pot, Weizhuo still had to step on the foot of 17 or 8 feet to relieve his depression. What's the situation? But Weizhuo was a little dumbfounded. This broken pot that seemed to be able to drop 7 or 80 petals was dropped to the ground by him, but it was not broken, as if it was just too much. There was a crack, and the green light flashed on the broken can. Hurry, give me blood quickly. Ghost. A shrill scream exploded in the stone house, and Weizhuo suddenly jumped onto the slate bed. Luguang actually converged into a 3-inch-old man in a green robe, with shaggy grass-like hair and a pointed monkey cheek, looking at Weizhuo's mouth. Come on, take some blood to drink. Seeing Weizhuo jumped on the bed as frightened as a pendulum, the old man in the green robe floating on the broken tank was very contemptuous and screamed fiercely, "You're a ghost, you don't even know the ghost and the spirit, and you still call the ghost. Kailing. Kailing boss, I like to go to Liuxia Alley in the past 2 years. You know where is Liuxia Alley? It's the kill, so I got a little sickness, and it's estimated that my blood is not too good. Who wants to drink your blood? Go and get me the blood of the igniting dragon, but look at you as a fool, if there is no blood of the flaming dragon, the blood of the fire scorpion is also okay." The old man in green robe does not scolded patiently. "Mr. Ling, don't you want to drink my blood?" Weizhuo put down the quilt around his head. "Can I ask you a question? What is the problem? Will you cast the spell?" I know there is a place where there are many dragons. I will take you to kill and let you drink enough. If I could, I'm still talking to you so much nonsense. I might as well beat you up and go out and find myself. You can't win the house or anything. Nonsense. I can only help the master to control the ghost tank. Now that the ghost tank is broken, what else can I do? Hey, what are you going to do? The old man in green robe suddenly screamed. Weizhuo jumped off the bed and took off his belt. Boo boo, Wei Suo whistled and urine on the frightened old man in green robe, slowly slinging his trouser belt. Since you can't do anything, then you dare to be so bullish? What fire? There is no blood in the earth dragon, there is a pot in the urine. The old man in green robe stayed for a long time before yelling in disbelief. Dare you dare to pee me? How dare you pee me? Why? Can you still bite me? Are you coming to bite me? Do you know how powerful I am? If someone sees me, crying and begging me to be too late, would you dare to pee me? Fart, you can't even do a trick, what bird jars you control are broken, nothing, scare me? Am I scared? You don't go out to inquire, I am 13 years old, dare to go out and peek at the beautiful woman to take a bath. Wei Suo rolled his eyes disdainfully. He saw that the old man seemed to be unable to leave even above the broken pot. Asterisk. The first few red ticket groups are almost full, announcing a new group, 24201634 Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 4. I've seen nothing before, I've never seen you so ignorant. The old man in green robe was almost mad with rage. The ghost-raising tank itself is not a magic weapon, it's me. You know, in the past tens of thousands of years, I have seen as many things as I have learned. As early as 20,000 years ago, I was already the treasure that many people want to grab. You. Wait, old man with green hair, what are you saying? Tens of thousands of years. Yes, it's been tens of thousands of years since the first generation of master refined me, now I know it's great. Really? Wei Suo clicked on the pictures of beautiful women hanging by the bed. Old man with green hair, tell me quickly, you beautiful women tens of thousands of years ago. Was this beautiful woman? What is the double cultivation method? You idiot, the old man in green robe was finally completely crazy. Do you know what is the most important thing in the world of monasticism? It is experience. I have experienced so many generations of masters, how much experience do you? Yes, Wei Suo's eyes burst into golden light, old man with green hair, so you must know a lot of exercises, please tell me a few exercises, too powerful, it is estimated that I won't learn it, as long as it's a bit more powerful than Tiandaoman's Tiandao. This, I don't know any cultivation skills. The old man in green robe froze. I can't practice these, and I can't see how he practiced from the outside, so I can know how he practiced. You don't even know how to practice the exercises. Are you embarrassed to say that the most important thing in the monastic world is experience? I know a lot of alchemy and methods for refining rungs and magic weapons. The old man in green robe was about to cry. Really? Wei Suo's eyes suddenly burst into golden light again. To know alchemy and alchemy, this is a secret of the school. There are not many alchemists and alchemists in the whole Lingyu city. If the old man in the green robe really knew many recipes for danfang and refining, then this time it was really developed. Just give me a prescription and let me see if you are so sharp. Wei Suo, who was deceived by the turtles and 13 inferior spirit stones, was so poor that he had thoughts of being underwear, and immediately said with golden eyes. When I give you a recipe, you must beg me, and I will drink whatever I want. The old man in green robe gritted his teeth and thought about it, and felt that the IQ of the person in front of him was too complicated and profound to understand. So the old man in the green robe found a simple recipe in his mind: return to air, small dew grass, 3 night flowers, fire chrysanthemum root, 334, Such a ratio, it is easy to refine. Old green hair, how long have you been in this broken pot? Why? I haven't come out since this ghost raising pot was broken by my opponent in the hands of my 56th generation master. If you just broke the seal rune, and the magic circle that provided my aura, I can't get out today. Let me think about it, at least 1 or 2,000 or 2 years, right? I'm sorry, if I remember correctly, Sanyehua was extinct 3,000 years ago, Wei Suo said blankly. No? Then I will change another one, first order fireball rune, silver candle grass, fire tail flower, smashed to make rune paper, draw rune with fire scorpion blood, rune is like this. Runes, I don't think this is necessary. Wei Suo began to untie his belt again. What are you doing? The old man in green robe panicked. Aren't these things extinct? Dead green hair old man, do you really want to cheat the fire scorpion blood to drink? You can restore your vitality after drinking it? Can you deal with me? You are really an idiot. If you want to cheat me, you should also make some pictures. What the are you talking about? Although the silver candle grass is scarce, there is absolutely no problem with this rune. When my master also refined this rune, I found that the fire scorpion blood can make me nourished. Pretend to be pretending, Wei Suo sneered at the old man in green robe. Come on, please turn your face. The old man in green robe was very confused. Turn your face. Well, just a urine piss, and you are too ugly to look at your face. If you can hang it, the old man in green robe hangs long ago. What the do you mean? Even if you want to pee me again, can you make me understand? Okay, I'll make you understand by peeing. Wei Suo looked at the old man in the green robe with an idiot's gaze and slammed the window. After the heavy rain outside the window, the air was fresh. On the distant roof, several wild cats ran past, and there were many silver wild grasses, shaking in the wind. You said that silver candle grass is scarce. Wei Suo carried the bench and looked at the old man in the green robe. Green hair old ghost, you have a good acting skills. Did you cheat me on the turtle? Did you learn from you? No, the old man in the green robe opened his mouth so that he could put an egg. The wild grass that grows fiercely in the cracks of the roof stone, and the grass stems grow like a mallet, aren't they like the fake silver candle grass? Old ghost, the 3 gadgets you mentioned are a little more difficult than the fire scorpion, and the other 2 are full of streets. If these 3 gadgets can produce a fire symbol, then I can buy a duck egg. Has a hatched hen come out? Just point it and turn her face away. I see. Wow, ha 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 ha. The old man in green robe stayed for a while, and suddenly laughed ecstatically. Is my head getting water in my urine and stupid? Wei Suo was a little dumbfounded. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be sharp. The old man in green robe lifted his chest, and I understand that the 3 night flowers were extinct 3,000 years ago. This silver candle flower was very rare 10,000 years ago, but now it is a lot. It is because the time has passed too long, everything is different. Now the iron wire, is there any grass? Is there any glaze? There are not many. Huodalong has not been extinct yet, right? More. Stupid, Wei Suo rolled his eyes and said. You still don't understand. Is the practice of the monastery world tens of thousands of years ago the same as the current practice? Is it different? The old man in green robe did not go crazy, but said quickly, the vicissitudes of the world, changes in the world, the practice of the world, Danfang, has evolved innumerably over these tens of thousands of years. The monks of tens of thousands of years ago still cultivated by the spirit of heaven and earth, but most of the later monks have already relied on elixir and demon cultivation. This was derived from a small martial art of Danfang at the time, and it was not very useful at that time, because the silver candle and fire tail flowers were very rare at that time. But now, these 2 things actually grow everywhere. Old man with green hair, do you still have to pretend? You mean, Do you still say that you are true? Of course it is true. It can be said that in the bottom of my life, my lowest level magic weapon, useless thing, is a coincidence. By the most glorious era, I will definitely make a name for Qingxi and become a monk in the world of monasticism. A legend. I rely on you. The old man in the green robe turned his hands to the sky, very excited, very heroic, but before he finished talking, he spattered his head after a bubble of urine. It's really unbearable. Wei Suo shook his head and said with his belt around. Brother, how can you believe me? The old man in green robe was completely speechless. The Fu Fang I said is really true. If you don't believe it, you can try it. If I said it is false, you can throw me in the dung hole and soak for 10,000 years. Asterisk. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 5. Chapter 4 Acquiring Fire Scorpion. Look, take a look. The 5 poison signs of the absolutely authentic 5 poison gates can be used with Shenhaijing's weight. It is convenient and fast. It is definitely a must-have for home travel and killing people. The good rejuvenation pill, only the last 2 are left. The low price is a big toss. Don't miss it when you pass by. Recycling all kinds of magic weapon fragments, the price is fair, Tongsuo no bullying. Sales of the Great Wilderness Map, the fastest way to the Pheasant Mountain, the credibility guarantee, 100% safe. Acquisition of bluestone fish bones, acquisition of bluestone fish bones, one-handed bones, one-handed crystals. Hematmesis sells a true recipe for refining qi and heart, and wants to buy it as soon as possible. Team up to Ghost Tomb to kill the stone corpse beast, don't disturb Shenhai realm below triple. A lot of people were shouting loudly in an open space outside the east gate of Lingyu City. Bluestone fish bones have a shit, but there are still fools to buy bluestone fish bones, said a big man with an axe and 2 thick eyebrows who said contemptuously. It's not stupid. It is said that someone recently tried out a rune square that can be used to make water arrow runes from bluestone fish bones. Although I heard that the water arrow runes are so powerful that they can't even count first order spells. At most it is a half order spell, but it is still somewhat useful. The thin man next to the thief I'd said, the most stupid thing is that last time I saw a fire scorpion. Monkey, are you kidding? Will anyone buy fire scorpion? Acquisition of fire scorpion corpse. Want fresh fire scorpion corpse, stinky, pickled, don't want it all. Nong Meidahan heard someone yelling before he finished. No, the thick-browed man suddenly dumbfounded. Is there such a fool? Old green hair, are you sure you are not lying to me? In the sunset, in the small stone house, Wei Suo looked at the dead body of the 6-headed fire scorpion with heartache. If you dare to lie to me, I will definitely throw you into the dung pit. In the morning, in the small market of the east gate of Lingyu City, people were considered to be super invincible, of course, Wei Suo. The people in the small market felt that Wei Suo was super invincible and stupid for a reason. Because the fire scorpion is only a first-order low-level monster, except for one scorpion tail can be used to refine things, nothing else is useful, and this fire scorpion is scattered, and it is really true to hunt a certain number. Trouble. So basically, no one would go to find the fire scorpion to sell, at most only when looking for other monsters or other materials. When they saw the fire scorpion, they killed by the way. In this way, the fire scorpion is usually no one wants. When someone wants it, there is not necessarily a moment on the market, but the price is not low. Just like the kill in the city called Liuxia Lane, there are a lot of good-looking sisters in it, but a fat lady with a height of 3 feet and a waist of 3 feet is really not there. If you have a unique taste, look for that kind of fat lady. People have found it for you. The price is not necessarily lower than the red card. Like today, Weizhuo bought a 6 scorpion after spending a piece of inferior spirit stone. This piece of inferior spirit might not be a big deal for others, but for Weizhuo, who was so poor that he even thought about being underwear, It was a lot of money. This piece of inferior spirit stone was taken out, and only the last piece of inferior spirit stone remained in Wei Suo's pocket. Relax, believe me, that's right. Can you give the fire scorpion blood for the first time? You haven't had the fire scorpion blood for more than 10,000 years, and it's not worth it. The old man in green robe looked at this pile. The six-headed fire scorpion, with golden light in his eyes, was desperately swallowing. Dream for you. Hurry up and say, what the is going to happen, I'll give you a drink. If you can't do it, you can drink it in the pit. The old man in green robe had no choice but to say this to this guy. Okay, you get a fire scorpion first cut along the black line on your back. Be careful not to cut too deep. Oh. Wei Suo moved a fire scorpion to the stone table. Although the fire scorpion looked small, it was still dead, like a stone. When we came back all the way before, Wei Suo was only concerned about the distressed spar, and he didn't take a closer look at what the fire scorpion looked like. Now if you look closely, you will find that this fire scorpion is much larger than the average scorpion, and there are many differences between the fire scorpion and the general scorpion. The carapace of the whole body is red, like a red lobster shell. A scorpion tail is about the same length as the body, like a small steel whip, and the tail is like a red steel needle, and there is a trace of heat. As the old man in the green robe said, this head of the fire scorpion with a hole in the head was on the largest red carapace on the back, and there was a clear black line. I depend, so hard. Wei Suo first took a kitchen knife, and then took a black knife like a pig-killing knife. After a while, he got a small chisel, knocked for a long time, and finally put the red carapace along the black line. Pry away. The old man in the green robe turned his eyes straight, but he had also been with the owner of the 50 or so, but he hadn't seen a pig's head that had to be scorpion shells for a long time to pry open. But he dare not say much now, otherwise in case he really annoys the pig head, he might find a pit and throw him away, then he may really become the first to drown in the cleverness in the pit. Did you see a red bone below? Be careful to get it out completely, don't break it. Don't you want blood? What's the use of this bone? General scorpion blood is useless. The blood of the bone in this bone is useful. Quickly, put it in a gourd and get rid of it. There is no way to use it. Okay, old man with green hair, what's next? Mash the silver candle grass and firetail flowers into a juice, mix in the ratio of 7 or 3, cook a joss stick for a time, and then put it into a rune to dry it to make rune paper. Wei Suo tinkered for a while, tinted the silver candle grass and firetail flowers into juice, and then according to what the old man in green robe said, carefully measured it with a bottle, and divided the two kinds of grass juice according to the ratio of 73. Mixed together. I'm humming, this smells too unpleasant. Old man with green hair, don't you deliberately play me. The two kinds of grass juice were originally silver and crimson, and they didn't smell much, but after boiled on the stove for a long time, as the juice completely boiled, the bubbles continued to bubble, the juice turned into a scarlet viscous liquid, and exuded a spicy smell of salty fish. It's right to have this taste. You can make it to make rune paper. After making rune paper, the taste will naturally disappear. The old man in green robe nodded with certainty. Wei Suo suspiciously took out a black square upper and lower half-shaped symbol pattern. This symbol pattern was picked up by him accidentally. He didn't know how to make ordinary symbols, so he always lost it under the bed. Now unexpectedly, it can be useful. Stupid, standard bad guys. Seeing Wei Suo's dimples filled with grass juice full of juice, he couldn't help feeling a flush of pain, but he thought that these two spirits now grow everywhere. He was speechless again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zi. Chapter 6. After the pattern was pressed and baked on the fire for a while, a square vermilion rune was freshly baked. Boom! A burst of fire burst into the hut. Dead green hair old man, you said what's going on, how could this thing suddenly burst out? The whole face was black and scorched, and half of Wei Suo shouted desperately. Don't you ever make a charm? The old man in green robe froze. Nothing, what's wrong? Dare you dare to do this directly before making it? The old man in green robe was suddenly happy. Looking at your chest-like appearance, I thought you were a master of the talisman. Dare to feel that you have never made a talisman, everything. I don't understand the little rookie. The icons on the Fulu are all in harmony with the world, and each icon is a small magic circle. As long as there is a slight deviation in the position on the rune, the runes are thicker and thinner. If you click, you won't become a symbol at all. Do you think that you can make a symbolic trap as long as you draw almost the same look? Do you think it's so easy to fool? You haven't really run aped. The old man in green robe laughed and laughed at Wei Suo. Wei Suo was not angry this time, but a little serious. Although there is a word of fire in the fire-tail flower, it is just because the appearance of this flower looks like a fiery dog tail, and although the fire scorpion has some fire on the scorpion tail, no matter how powerful the fire scorpion, it is impossible to send out the one just now. The fire is coming. Nonsense, if I were bullshit, you would find me three things that have no fire, but when mixed together, they can blow up a fire to show me. I told you what I said earlier. Fang is 100% true, you don't believe it? Damn. If you are really bullshit, you can only soak in the dung in the future, Wei Suo yelled to the old man in green robe, but he was determined to try this clear formula clearly. Now Wei Suo Poon is dying, and the prodigal beauty has stimulated him with first-order fireball charms. A fireball dustpan is the same size, let alone being hit directly, it is estimated that it is uncomfortable to be caught on the flame. The power of this first-order fireball symbol is at least as powerful as the fireball technique issued by the quintessential monk of the Shanhai realm. Moreover, this first-order spell does not need to consume many true yuans. Taking Weizhuo as an example, Weizhuo's current practice of true yuans is Zixuan Zhenju, and the only attacking skill in the society is Qing Shui Blade. With his two-pronged practice of the god Xuanzhen's tactics of the Shanhai realm, and casting the Qing Shui Blade one after another, he can only send him at least 20 Qing Shui Blades. But if you want to change the first-order fireball symbol used by the prodigal beauty, with Wei Suo's cultivation practice, it is no problem to send 100 pieces. Therefore, this kind of spell that does not need to consume the true yuan has always been a sought-after item on the market. As long as there are enough spirit stones, ordinary monks will buy a few pieces to save their lives. However, the value of this first-order spell is generally around half of the inferior spirit stone. In addition to some protective life-saving spells used by Wei Suo, this aggressive spell is one that has not been bought. It is also a more cost-effective burst of flame that is equivalent to one-half of the fireball symbol, but the price is only equivalent to one-third of the fireball symbol. If these three very common things can really produce a first-order fireball symbol, the meaning of the symbol for Wei Suo is tantamount to being a hen who can cast a spirit stone. Boy, don't you waste the blood of the scorpion, okay? I told you a long time ago. Even if you are a very skilled monk who practices a new spell, it will take at least 10.5 months of practice before it can be successfully cultivated. Come together. You have only practiced for 7 days, and you want to make a fireball symbol. Don't dream. This wasted fire scorpion blood might as well be given to me. Don't talk nonsense. If you don't shut up, if I can't blame you on this practice, I will ask you to drink urine. In the small stone house, Wei Suo took a deep breath and dignifiedly put a blue rune pen in his hand into the bottle containing the fire scorpion blood, allowing the rune pen to the fire scorpion blood. Since the last time the first symbol failed, Wei Suo has been practicing for 7 consecutive days. After carefully recalling every detail of the fireball rune, Weizhuo took the rune pen that had absorbed the fire scorpion blood from the bottle. In front of him, a silver candle grass and square rune paper made from fire tail flowers. Basically, everyone who hasn't practiced runes should train on runes. The so-called rune engraving is to engrave the rune on a smooth wooden board, and then practice the rune along the engraving with the rune pen over and over again. According to the thickness and depth of the engraving on the rune, after practicing the skill when drawing on official rune paper, the weight of the stroke will naturally be grasped, and the chance of success of the rune will also increase greatly. In addition to this point, the value of ordinary runes is also very expensive. The average monk will not waste to practice with real runes. However, because the silver candle grass and fire tail flowers are now everywhere near Lingyu City, Wei Suo used the rune pen to the rest of the fire scorpion's useless blood and refined it directly on the rune paper. And practicing directly on the rune paper, Wei Suo also found that the quality of the rune paper has a great relationship with the success of the rune. After all, if there is a slight flaw in the rune paper, or it is rough in some places, if the rune of the rune is not smooth, it is likely to directly lead to the failure of the refining of this first-order fireball rune. So in these 7 days, Wei Suo also worked hard to make rune paper. Now the rune paper made by Wei Suo looks much smoother and smoother than the first batch of 7 days ago, and now he is preparing the good one is the best quality among the recent batches of rune paper, smooth as a mirror and shining with fluorescence. There is no hesitation in Wei Suo's pen writing, and a round and smooth red line extends quickly under the pen tip. The dark red fire scorpion blood turned into fire red immediately after entering the rune paper, and gave out a jade-like crystal luster. Dense beads of sweat came out of his forehead, but his eyes were extremely focused, and every movement was extremely precise. After less than half an incense, Weizhuo completed the last stroke on this fireball symbol. At the moment when the last thin rune was completed, all the red flame-like runes on this rune suddenly lit up, emitting a hazy red on, and a trace on the entire rune the heat of silk. Actually made it, in the silent little stone house, Wei Suo looked at the Fulu in front of him, and the old man in green robe also opened his eyes in disbelief. On the scarlet rune paper, the red patterns radiate silky heat, and the faint brilliance flows along these patterns, as if a little thin flame flows in the rune. The faint heat radiated from this rune. No matter which aspect you look at, this first-order fireball symbol can't see any problem. You haven't really made a rune before. After a long wait, the old man in green robe couldn't help but looked at Wei Suo and asked. No, Wei Suo didn't seem to have recovered, and shook his head. In the past, I just often painted stripes on ordinary white mink, and sold it to others as a black wind mink. Asterisk. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 7. The green man's eyes were complicated. Judging from the situation of Fang Cai, this kid is definitely not a blind cat who met a dead mouse. Because the old man in the green robe is very clear, it is absolutely impossible for a monk who does not have the experience of refining characters to complete a first-order fireball symbol without a month or 2. Wei Suo successfully tried out one piece in only 7 days, which can only explain one thing, that is, this kid has a very high talent in the practice of symbols. And the old man in the green robe with tens of thousands of years of experience knows better than anyone, what this talent means at this time. Your parents are rune masters? Refiner masters, the old man in green robe couldn't help asking. I don't know, my dad and old lady didn't come back when I was 13 when I went out to kill the monsters. I was only left with a copy of Zi Xian Zhenju. Wei Suo also looked at the old man in green robe a bit strangely. What do you ask about this? You can try this spell first to see if it is the same as what I said. It is a first-order fireball sign. The old man in green robe looked at Wei Suo. As for the others, come back and say. Wei Suo came out of the west of Lingyu City with a freshly baked charm. The Lingyu City is now under the jurisdiction of Tianyumen. As long as a certain amount of spirit stones are paid for any loose cultivation, it can live in Lingyu City, and some ordinary mortals can do something for some martial arts in exchange for residency. For a small stone house with a poor environment like Weisuo and no conditions, the monthly rent is 2 inferior spirit stones. If you can't pay the rent for more than 2 months, you can only live outside Lingyu City. Therefore, although it is said that the rent is actually the protection fee, but basically all the repairs in the Lingyu City will not have any complaints. Because Tianyumen has a lot of good hands to patrol the city every day to ensure the safety of Lingyu City. In recent years, there have been more monsters in the wilderness than in previous years. For example, 5 years ago, the distance from Lingyu City, it is absolutely impossible to have second-order monsters like the stone-tailed wall lizard in the Yellow Sand Canyon separated by several mountains. If you don't live in the city, in addition to the threat of monsters and beasts, you may be murdered by other casual repairs. So as long as it is a low-level loose repair that can afford the rent, almost all will fight for the spirit to live in the city. The only inconvenience is that flying is not allowed in the city and fights privately. Now Weisuo doesn't know any flying escape method at all, and with his current practice, even if he learns any flying escape method, it is estimated that Zhenyuan is only enough for him to fly away from the incense stick. Like him, the trial launch of Fumi is naturally not a private fight, but in order to avoid the trouble of Tianyumen's cross-examination, Weisuo chose to leave the city. Less than half a mile away from the city, Weisuo saw a deserted house next to it, and a black wildcat called Chun on a crooked willow tree. When he saw Weisuo stopped, the black wildcat grinned his teeth, as if to ask Weisuo to get out, don't hinder it from calling Chun. Hey! As soon as Weisuo's eyeball turned, he raised his hand, and with a bang, a large dustpan of fire suddenly slammed under the willow tree, directly blowing the lower half of the willow tree to pieces, and the fire was blazing. Meow. The black wildcat almost freaked out, his hair was blown up, and he jumped like Yofeng, and he jumped from the upper half of the tree to the side of the wall that was far away. Trembling. Not to mention the black wildcat, even Weisuo was taken aback. When this fire symbol was inspired, the scattered heat all made him feel a burning pain in his skin. The power of this first-order fireball symbol seemed to be more powerful than the fireball symbol of the silver shirt buttocks. His mother. Is this too exaggerated? On a road in the distance, coming to Lingyu City, the 2 guys who happened to see the scene were also dumbfounded. A wildcat actually uses a first-order fireball symbol. Isn't it right? Developed. This is really developed. Weisuo almost flew back to the stone house west of Lingyu City. Shui Ling maybe you will be my wife by then. Seeing Weisuo's appearance at the door, the old man in the green robe knew that Weisuo's fireball sign must have no problem. But Weisuo's next move was to make him feel cold for a while, and he could not speak for a while. It seemed that Weisuo had picked up a lot of spirit stones at once, and actually touched a few on the chests on those beautiful pictures. Now he finally knows why the color of the chest area of these beautiful pictures is different from other places. Oh, old man with green hair. Weisuo thought of something like that, looking at the old man in green robe, and asked, you said let me go and try this fireball symbol. If you have something to say to me, you have to say what? I'm going to tell you that it's not time for you to be excited yet. The old man in green robe gave Weisuo a serious look. Whether it's alchemy, or alchemy, the most important thing is the success rate. The success rate is low. Yuchin's rune master is still equivalent to waste. The value of rune's rune is not only the material that is consumed. Weisuo was stunned. Old man, so, I have to try my own success rate. What do you say? The old man in green robe gave Weisuo a cold look. Weisuo stood again at the humble stone table with a solemn expression, which had to do with his serious fortunes. In the first picture, the middle of a rune pattern was slightly misaligned, and the entire rune burned fiercely. Fortunately, Weisuo had already experienced and was not burned by the burning fire. The second one was clearly painted, but he didn't know where the deviation was, and Fu Lushang didn't emit heat at all. The third one was finally successful. Wei Suo's body was soaked with sweat. After refining the sixth successful first-order fireball symbol, Wei Suo exhausted himself on the stone table, so tired that he didn't want to move his fingers. The remaining fire scorpion blood was enough for refining 14 first-order fire notes. Wei Suo broke 8 and succeeded in 6. It took a total of more than 1 hour and the success rate was less than 50%. This practice requires a high concentration of spirit. Not only is the physical consumption very huge, but also the spirit is very expensive. With a success rate of less than 50%, and still tired like a dog, Wei Suo was really frustrated at the moment. But the old man in the green robe had already figured it out. Wei Suo didn't know at all, even if he was a professional spell maker, he refined a skillful first-order spell with a success rate of only about 60%. Refining a first-order spell is not possible. The success rate is less than 40%. But Wei Suo's success rate is now close to 50%. This is the first time that the character has been successfully extracted today. If the time is long, his success rate will be several percent. Boy, are you dead? If we aren't dead, let's talk about chatting. You tell me something, and I tell you something. The old man in green robe thought for a while, and said suddenly. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 8. What are you talking about? Wei Suo, exhausted, said weakly. If he didn't think the old man in the green robe was a bit of a doorway, he was too lazy to talk at this time. The old man in green robe glanced at Wei Suo. You used to call the spirit stone, what the is this? This spirit stone is a spar with aura. The monk can also absorb the aura cultivation inside, similar to refining the demon pill, but the aura inside is relatively pure, and does not need to be refined into a pill to use it like the demon pill. So now it is a hard currency in the monastic world, which is divided into 3 grades according to the grade. The one with the most aura is the top grade, and the one with the lowest aura is the bottom grade. Why, you didn't have a spirit stone at that time? Impossible, Wei Su doubted. Say. There are such spirit stones discovered? But what is impossible? There are a lot of things that are not available tens of thousands of years ago. Now there are things that are not uncommon if they were not available 10,000 or 20,000 years ago. Not to mention anything else. Your current practice is definitely different from when my last generation master fell down more than 10,000 years ago. The old man in green robe looked at Wei Suo with the eyes of the countryman. I don't believe you talk about it. You know what kind of exercises are there and how many levels? There are so many exercises, and they are divided into 4 levels of heaven, earth, Xian, and Huang according to good or bad. Is the realm divided into divine sea realm, Zhou realm, divided Nian realm, Jindan realm, Shenxian realm, true fairyland, what it was like more than 10,000 years ago? The same thing. Then you said it must be different. You can go further for a long time, it's different. Like the tens of thousands of years ago, all the exercises were based on a single chi tactic. The fire technique has a matching fire element, but the fire element is not. Use other spells. Unlike the current exercises, as long as you have enough true mana, most spells can be used. Isn't it? Green-haired old ghost, wouldn't you just talk casually? I'm talking casually. You are too ignorant. Now, many of the practices in the Taoist circle are derived from the inspiration of a powerful practice. At that time, the powerful practice the Dharma can use any other vitality technique, and the sky domes outside the 7 continents are not created by the powerful spell that year. I seem to have heard this Wei Suo is a little bit spiritual. The Lingyu city where he is located is a remote small city on the Tianqian continent. It is said that the closest to the Tianqian continent is the Yunling continent, separated by 2 continents. I don't know the distance of the barren wilderness. There are only a few large cities with connected teleportation formations. Although Wei Suo has not even visited those big cities, Lingyu City was originally on the edge of the Tianqian continent. Wei Suo paid a special visit to the Sky Dome where he could watch it. It was a white light curtain like a city wall. It stretched and surrounded the whole continent. It could not be seen by the naked eye. It seemed to have been connected to the sky. It is said that some powerful monks who had reached the Jindan realm could not see the end. Far above the height that monks in Jindan realm can reach. The most peculiar thing is that for the monk, this white light curtain is harmless, and it is like a wave of water. But if the monsters outside want to enter the mainland, they will be bounced off as soon as they touch the Sky Dome, and how much power they will hit against the Sky Dome will suffer as much backlash. The number of monsters and beasts in the wild wasteland outside the Sky Dome is extremely alarming. Without the obstruction of the Sky Dome, the monks on the mainland might not be opponents of monster beasts. However, after tens of thousands of years, it is said that some cracks have appeared in some places of the Sky Dome. Although the powerful monsters that came in from these cracks were later killed by the powerful forces on the mainland, many cracks will be found. It was guarded by the great forces, but there are many monsters below the fourth order, whose mana does not fluctuate strongly, but they have also bred in the mainland. In the wilderness outside the cities of Tianqian continent, there are also a lot of monsters in some places. According to legend, the Sky Dome covering the 7 continents of the world was created by a powerful man in the ancient world with the power of the sky. The exact details of Wei Suo did not know at all. For the sake of not knowing anything, I will tell you a little better. The spiritual veins of the Taoist circle were countless at the earliest times. Most of the monks' cultivation practice was to directly absorb the spiritual energy of the spiritual vein, and there were not so many demons in heaven and earth at all. Beast, said the old man in the green robe, later was a powerful opponent of that power and that powerful fighting method, which caused the landslides and cracks. The heaven and earth were divided into 7 states. Not to mention, they also smashed many stars and opened many spaces. The fissures of heaven and earth were almost completely extinct. Later, in order to prevent the entire heaven and earth from covering the hands of monsters and beasts, the powerful man covered 9 sky domes outside the 7 continents with terrifying mana. The method of cultivation has slowly evolved, and it can only basically rely on elixir and demon cultivation. By the way, what level of practice do you practice and how? After the old man in green robe finished speaking, he suddenly thought of something like that and looked at Wei Suo and asked. Wei Suo's old face turned slightly red. The true mystery of Xuanhuan is the low-level exercises of the Xian level. Is now the second most important practice of Shanghai realm. The old man in the green robe didn't look unexpected at all. He thought about it a little bit. You tell me a lot about the common spirit grass and monsters you have now. Even the spirit grass and monsters you think are useless now. The beast is also included. Common monsters are red scale viper, colorful centipede, black fire rock turtle, red beetle. Common spirit grasses are small mist grass, clematis, and glaze. Wei Suo spent enough time. After more than half an hour, I thought about it and said something about what is common in my mind. Fortunately, Wei Suo has always been poor since the beginning of the monastery. Something of a little value is remembered. Fortunately, it is not missed when playing in the wild, so the things that are remembered are still very complicated. If you change the prodigal buttocks, I'm afraid it would be nice to report dozens of them. Who is this woman? After listening to the old man in green robe, he asked some beautiful paintings hanging on the wall. I'm leaning, old man with green hair, you have endless time, ask what's the use of this. Wei Suo, who was waiting for the old man in green robe to say something worthwhile, was so disappointed that he couldn't help crying. You answer my last question first, naturally it will benefit you. The old man in green robe looked at Wei Ropewei. This is a female disciple of Suan Fengmenya Yeshian Cheng. She is a very well cultivated and beautiful person. Many people rushed to want her to be a wife. Many people saw her portrait. For her to join Xuanhuan men, is it clear enough? Wei Suo finished speaking quickly, looking at the old man in green robe. Okay, say, what's the benefit? How about we make a deal? You help me consolidate, I help you practice. The old man in green robe narrowed his eyes and looked at Wei Suo. Don't dare to say, help you get to Jindan realm, even chase this kind of water spirit should still be very promising. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 9. Jindan Realm, Wei Suo swallowed hard. Old man with green hair, what is coagulation? The true element of the monk is the source of driving various spells and magic weapons, and is the foundation of the monk. The exercises of the true element are divided into the 4 levels of heaven, earth, mystery, and huang according to the quality of the practice, and then divided according to the cultivation. Divided into Shanhai realm, Jotian realm, Fenian realm, Jindan realm, divine profound realm and true fairy realm. Each of these realms is divided into 5 layers. Now Wei Suo not only cultivates the purple profound realm, but it is not powerful. The cultivation method is still the second most important cultivation practice of Shanhai realm. At the speed of Wei Suo's cultivation, there is not much hope for the cultivation of Jindan realm in this life. If the old man in green robe can really help Wei Suo to Jindan realm, as long as the conditions he put forward are possible, Wei Suo must be desperate. Spirit like me, the carcass of magic weapon is like my body. If this ghost tank is not bad, I would have no problem to live another tens of thousands of years. It is just a comparison of the damage of carcass of magic weapon. Awesome, some of the magical auras are dissipating. If there is no accident, the magical auras of the magical magic will dissipate in a few hundred years. By then, my vitality will not be nourished and will be completely dissipated. The so-called coagulation is to use some unique materials to help me make a new body. Make a new body. Yes, the reason why I drink the blood of the fire scorpion and the blood of the fire dragon, I don't know what material was used when my first master refined me. The blood of the fire scorpion and the blood of fire dragon, it has some nourishing effect on my vitality. If I drink enough fire scorpion blood, the distance of the consciousness from this jar can be longer, but the farthest distance is not more than 10 miles away. The old man in green robe looked at Wei Suo. My biggest hope is to be able to go out and see freely, but without a real body. I have always been inseparable from this jar, and I have always been like jail. It seems pretty miserable. Wei Suo knew that the spirit like the old man in the green robe was refined by the person who made the magic weapon, and he helped him make the magic weapon like a monk's slave. Even being a servant for tens of thousands of years, and sometimes the owner died, still can't get out of the jar. One level is more than 10,000 years. This kind of encounter is indeed very miserable. After nodding sympathetically, Wei Suo continued to ask, do you know how to help you shape? What materials will you use? Wouldn't you like me to have 1 arm and 1 leg? Look at it yourself. The old man in the green robe has long seen that Wei Suo is a very savvy, unwilling to lose, and his hands are constantly waving, one by one green light words, and the first order he showed Wei Suo. Like the runes of the fireball runes, they appeared in front of him. 5 color stones, moonflowers, golden fruits, Jindan realm is triple? Okay, old man with green hair. I said, how can you say that I helped repair Jindan realm? After finding so many materials, I still need at least gold. The real practice of Danjing Sanshong can help you to display this condensed technique. After Wei Suo looked carefully, he couldn't help crying. Then do you do it? The old man in green robe gave Wei Suo a blank look and said directly. Don't do it, fools, don't do it. Wei Suo smiled, anyway, as long as I help you find these materials on the way. But the old man with green hair, if these materials are really gone, you can't blame me. You don't have to worry about that. The old man in green robe nodded with certainty. If there is no such material in Tianqian continent, I also know that somewhere, there should be these materials. In this case, there is nothing left to do. Wei Suo looked at the old man in green robe. Now the old man in green robe is getting more and more cute in his eyes. Yes, old man in green hair, we talked as usual. For so long, I still don't know your name. My name is Wei Suo. At first sight, you are the same, the old man in green robe scolded the sentence in his heart and snorted. What's the importance of the name? Just call me whatever you like. Okay, then I will call you Green and Green? Or call you Green and Green? Then you still call me the old man with green hair. It seems a little embarrassing to call you old man with green hair, or just call your old man. Wei Suo walked softly on the bed, and just spent too much energy to practice the link. Old man, now that we have dealt now, what shall I do next? How to do it? The old man in green robe looked at Wei Suo disdainfully. As soon as you see that you have made these fireball symbols, you are happy to be like this. You know that your poor jingle is ringing. You need to find a way to practice more. The fireball symbol comes out and earns the spirit stones you need to practice every day. Wei Suo's face blushed a little. Old man, you don't have any other good things to use first? I'm sorry, not for the time being, unless you wait until you reach the 4 levels of Shanghai realm. The old man in green robe shook his head very politely. But I know the method of igniting the scorpion. Really? Wei Suo's eyes shone again. Wei, who is the one who made you angry? Why did you look unhappy? Jiya smiled immediately when she saw Han Wei walking into the Dan room with an unhappy face. Waved at her, Han Wei, who was grinning, sat directly on Jiya's thigh and hooked her neck. If Wei Suo could see the scene, her chin would definitely fall to the ground. Now wearing an ordinary purple palace dress, her hair is simply wrapped up with a hosta. Jiya is the owner of the treasure hall in Lingyu City. The treasure hall is not the largest store in Lingyu City, but it is definitely the spirit. One of the most profitable shops in Yueshan. Because Jiya is one of the few alchemists in Lingyu City, about 1/3 of the elixir produced in Lingyu City comes from Zhenbao Pavilion, and the most important thing is that Jiya is still famous in Lingyu City. Snow Beauty. Every day, many people look for various opportunities to trade with Treasure House. In fact, it is to look at the face that is hard to forget at first glance. Jiya's proud body, especially the size of Xuanhuan, will definitely make most women crazy, but the key is that Jiya usually treats any man, even the young talents of Tianyumen and other schools, are all cold and cold. The more this kind of snow beauty, the more difficult it is for countless monks to extricate themselves. But now the famous ice and snow beauty was actually sitting directly on her lap and hooked her neck, and the very beautiful silver that Wei Suo encountered in Huangsha Canyon before was actually sitting on the leg of this ice and snow beauty, beautiful girl in shirt with hips. Sister, I'm mad at me. Han Wei sat on a pair of slender jade legs that Jiya made countless monks frantic, and said with teeth, I had hit 2 stone-tailed wall lizards in the Huangsha Canyon 2 days ago, but I didn't expect to meet a shameless guy, and robbed me of 2 stone-tailed wall lizards and ran away. I didn't find this guy after searching for a few days near the Huangsha Canyon. Star. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 10. You went to Huangsha Canyon. Jiya was startled. You haven't tried yuking Dan in your Danfang these few days? Sister, I told you that I am not interested in those bottles and jars. It takes a few hours to watch the fire. It is really boring, and you told me that, as long as I repair the 4th level of Shanghai realm, you can go out to fight monsters. Han Wei's pink face was slightly red, and a white night pearl hung on the top of Jiya's Dan room, exuding a soft white light. Against the white light, Han Wei's face was even more unspeakable femininity. Some beauties have separate facial features that don't look beautiful, they only give a beautiful feeling when they are put together, but even if viewed alone, Han Weiwei's eyes, nose, mouth, and everything are very good, exquisite. These combined together, reveals a very enchanting spirit. It's no wonder that when Wei Suo saw her in the Huangsha Canyon, she would lament the beauty and wisdom of the woman in this year. Hearing Han Weiwei's words, Ji Ya smiled bitterly. Although she is now the owner of Jumbo Pavilion, she is actually her master Han Feng's hand, and Han Weiwei is her master Han Feng's only daughter. Since her master Han Fengzi after alchemy died in an accident, she was almost responsible for Han Weiwei, and what made her helpless was that Han Weiwei did not seem to have inherited any talent from her master on alchemy. Stroking Han Weiwei's supple hair, "Isn't it just the two stone-tailed lizards? You don't tell me. If you run out secretly, what should I do if something happens to you? There will be no accidents. Sister, I will listen to you very much. I will not go outside the Sky Dome if it is less than 5 times the weight of Zhou Tianjing. I will turn around outside Lingyu City at most." Han Weiwei stuck out his tongue. "Well, from tomorrow on, I will allow you to go out to fight the monsters and beasts." Ji Ya looked at Han Weiwei tenderly, as if she nodded like a decision in her heart, "But every time before you go out tell me." "Ah, I know sister, you are the best to me." Han Weiwei was excited and kissed a few times on Ji Ya's fat-like face. "Huh, I must teach this guy a good lesson." Ji Ya smiled, "Sai Weiwei, the stone-tail wall lizard is not valuable. That's not the same. This is the second-order monster that I hit for the first time, and the coward is so low, and I couldn't even grab my stone-tailed lizard." Han Weiwei snorted, "What?" But his face was red again, and the guy was actually pretending to eat a bad belly, and pretending to take off his pants before me. "There is such a guy." A smile appeared on the corner of Ji Ya's mouth again. "That's right." Han Weiwei nodded vigorously and stood up. "Sister, I won't disturb you anymore. I'll go back to practice. Tomorrow morning, I'll go to the free market outside the city, maybe I might meet you." To this guy. Go. Ji Ya watched Han Weiwei walk out of the Dan room. Since Han Weiwei did not like alchemy, Ji Ya would not force it, as long as she liked it. However, after Han Weiwei walked out of Ji Ya's sight, Ji Ya's expression regained her former coldness. "Duguyun." With her voice coming out, a man caged in black robe could not see his face standing at the door of her danfang. "You help me find some people from Tai Ce and let them protect the young lady," Ji Ya said lightly. "Okay." The black-robed man nodded and said nothing, then turned around respectfully and went out. There are 3 places where monks trade near Lingyu City: the free market outside the east gate of Lingyu City, the north market of Lingyu City, and the high-level trading market of Lingyu City South. The free market outside the east gate is a place where monks can trade freely and is not subject to anyone's jurisdiction. There is no need to pay any fees to Tianyumen. The transactions are also varied, and some good things may be found. But it is also very likely to buy some fakes. The market in the north of the city is composed of dozens of shops. These dozens of shops are not large in scale. Only the most basic raw materials for refining fusee and immortality, low-level fusee and magical instruments are traded, and everything is guaranteed. There are few fakes. The most powerful stores in Lingyu City, such as Zhenbao Pavilion, are all concentrated in the south of Lingyu City. In addition to selling certain products with their own characteristics, these stores will also be commissioned from time to time to auction some good things that low-level monks can only swallow. Early in the morning, Weizhuo quickly walked towards the north market. The ghost-raising pot with the old man in the green robe is now under Weisis under his bed. The reason for this is that the ghost-raising pot itself is a yin magic weapon for raising the little ghost. The old man in the green robe is in the daytime. It's not visible, it's useless to carry it, and now for Weizhuo, if something else is robbed, it doesn't matter, but if this thing is robbed, then Weizhuo is really completely dead. For safety, Wei Suo wrapped a thick layer of gum on the outside of the ghost tank, so that the jar was hard to break even if it was smashed hard, and he also smeared a layer of black ash on the surface. Ordinary black clay pots are no different at all. Even if any thief is stolen to a poorly repaired house like Weizhou, if you have to go in and steal it, will certainly not pay attention to this casual jam-broken black crock under the bed. King Xuanhuan acquired Kixing fish bone, and the price was 3 times lower than the spirit stone. The French candle shop sells a lot of water arrows. A large number of stone bulletin boards can be seen everywhere in Jinbei Market, and there are a lot of news posted on them. Some of these transaction messages are very useful for low-level bulk repairs such as Weizhou, but Weizhou did not look at the announcements today. News, straight into a small shop called Xiao Fang. No matter what the news is now, the speed of earning the spirit stone is certainly not as fast as that of Weizhou himself to fight the fire scorpion to refine the fireball symbol. Although Weizhou sometimes lacks patience, in recent years Weizhou has no background, he has always lived in Lingyu City. Besides, his head is still aura, the most important thing is that he is afraid of death, so he is generally very careful in doing things. He will do a lot of preparations when he goes to kill monsters. Scorpions are certainly no exception. Weizhou, you are here. As soon as he entered, the shopkeeper of Xiao Fang noticed it and greeted him with a smile. Old Fox, as soon as he saw the shopkeeper who was greeted with a smile, Weizhou called out in a depressed mood. The owner is an old man in his 50s, surnamed Hu. He wears a khaki robe all year round. An old fox occupies about half of the width of his face. It seems that he is enthusiastic and kind to every guest, but he does business. But even acquaintances are not weak. Weizhou has known this guy for a few years. Even Weizhou now knows how to buy Qing Shui blade from him, but after so many years, Weizhou got his hands, it's hardly even cheap. So Weizhou always called this guy the old fox. Asterisk. Now in Changsha, the update is coming again. Everyone continues to push up, and there will definitely be no shortage of updates tomorrow.